Start now.
Yeah, but Mr. Seth, thank you very much for coming in and waiting for the 10 minutes that we are there. We understand you have a hard stop at 5 o'clock, so we will keep it short and crisp. Uh, Something that I wanted to ask of you is there are studies which says about 70 to 80% of the businesses in India do not cross the $1 million mark, and people hit the ceiling very soon and they can't scale up. What's your take on that, and what could be some of the reasons, and what could be some of the solutions that you could recommend to the SME business owner who's our target audience based on the vast experience that you have had?
No, I don't think just because of a statistical inference you can say that, oh, India is in deep trouble. A lot of people don't want to expand. A lot of people don't want to scale up. It also depends on which SME business you're in. For
Right.
instance, if you're in businesses like cement or steel, you need locational proximity to either distribution or to supply. And
Right.
therefore, people don't want to scale up or can't scale up. Number two, there are logistical issues in this country which prevent people from scaling up. Number three, there is this absolute apathetic banking system that we have in our country, which doesn't allow for credit with ease. I mean, in the good old days, you had to bribe every goddamn bank manager or branch manager or bank chairman.
Right.
So, people are faced with several obstacles.
Sure.
Plus, we are not the easiest country to do business in. These are some realities that we must face.
Right.
And where there's ease of business is lacking, where there is where there are enough problems in terms of managing a business, scalability becomes the casualty, as we've seen in our country. So
Right.
I don't think it's a hard and fast rule that 80% of India's businesses can't scale up. Sometimes they don't want to scale up. Sometimes it's not possible to scale up. And sometimes the ecosystem doesn't allow you to scale up. So it's not a lack of ambition, but it's more a lack of an ecosystem that should actually be providing succor or a fillip to you scaling up.
Absolutely right. Point taken that there is an ecosystem issue, there's an environment, there's banking and other things. But in our experience, having also done not so much work that you have done, but little work that Action Coach has done in the country, we also see a mindset issue amongst some business owners, not all, and I'm not generalizing it at all, that they're scared of moving up the next level, that how of letting go of controls and other stuff. uh, do you have any say or take on that? That there is also a mindset issue which we can address rather than the external factors, which is a lot dependent on the environment and government.
No, there are two questions which you've mixed up. One is of control, and the other is of ambition. I don't think people lack ambition. They lack clarity. At times, they lack credit facilities from banks, as I've said. And
Right.
at times, they lack the support of the ecosystem.
Right.
Government after government, they start up India, this India, that India, but they never deliver. I mean, these are all useless slogans by successive governments, including this one. So, just by sloganeering, you don't change the ecosystem of a country.
Right.
The second part of ceding control, of giving up control, is a completely different thing. Promoters, by and large, tend to control because of two reasons. One is they are either skimming off the company. Two is they want to basically use that corporate power for whatever reasons. And this is not true only of India, it's true of every society, every country.
Right.
Promoters are very unwilling. I mean, you heard what happened to Greensill, what's happened to Everglades. So it's a story played out in every country. I think in India, in the good old days, promoters would get away with blue murder. They would control 4, 5, 8% of the company, but they would actually appropriate a lot more. Contracts were fuzzy, related party transactions used to happen, and there was no governance. I think all that has changed with the tightening of the laws, with regulations, with shareholder rights being upheld by SEBI, though not all the time. So I think more and more people are becoming transparent. A. B. I'm not against promoters running their companies. If a lawyer's son can become a lawyer, why the hell should a promoter's son not run his company if the guy's been trained?
Absolutely.
Where I get upset and what I worry about is when promoters take shareholders for a ride, the very shareholders whose pockets they dip into in order to fund the expansion of their businesses. So my limited point is promoter influence can't be subservient to shareholder rights. And as long as that's not the case, I'm absolutely fine with promoters calling the shots. They'll have far greater passion for starters.
Okay. I want you to share your experiences on a slightly different but related topic. We have seen in our business coaching, the clients that we have worked with, that a successful business owner, first generation, has sent his son or daughter overseas for education. And once the son or daughter comes back, there is a disconnect between the father and the child, because he has seen something that is very automated, systemized, learned a lot of techniques that can be used. But the father is still in this old school of running a business. What would one, do you think this is a reality, even if it's a small percentage? And if yes, then how do you think these can be addressed? What would be your suggestion?
It is a reality, but again, as I said, that reality is changing. This was true 20, 30 years ago. Today, if I'm setting up a green field, even a brown field, I have access to the best technology, whether I'm 70 years old or whether I'm 17. So there's no technology mismatch. Number two, as I said earlier, process of governance are in place. So this son from Harvard can't come here as a messiah and teach the old man new tricks, because those new tricks are today in force. They're in motion. Number three, I think a little bit of adaptation needs to happen at the older person's level. Because obviously the chap who's coming back wants to effectively put his stamp and in a very perverse way justify to his father that the money the father spent was well spent on that bloke's education.
Right.
So at times, it is out of perverse logic and psychological pressure that the guy wants to come back and, put his imprint, which is human nature. I mean, why do you need coaching companies like yours? Because people say, I've been coached, which means, oh, wow, I'm now really special, as if, you guys are Moses or the messiahs of modern day academia. You're not. I mean, it's like consultancy. So I don't lay too much of credence to that. I think from a practical standpoint, there is going to be a mismatch. But if the objectives are unified, if the goal is common, then these are issues that can iron themselves out and do iron themselves out with time. It's not a deal breaker.
Okay. Do you see a change in shift in way people are thinking nowadays? In the not good old days, about 30, 40 years back, businesses were built by people so that businesses could be transferred from generation to generation. But today, businesses are built for valuation and sell-off. Is there a generational shift that we are seeing in the Indian landscape of
it's
small and medium businesses?
Yeah, but again, it's evolutionary. People get frightened. Oh my God, people are looking at valuation, but there's some idiot who's paying that valuation.
Correct.
I mean, if Zomato loses 360 crores and then it gets the valuation it does, then there are idiots on both sides of the spectrum. The idiots who are valuing the company and then the idiots who are buying the shares of that company. So, I have no issues with idiots inhabiting the world, because if there were less idiots, then you and I wouldn't be in conversation.
Absolutely.
Everyone would be bright. B, I don't think it's a bad thing to value a company or value a business. Every business is worth a certain amount of money. Sometimes valuation helps you get a reality check. And sometimes, if you're actually splitting the company and unlocking value, then some of that valuation actually helps you multiply the scalability of the businesses that you have retained or that you want to grow. So I think it's a good thing. Yeah, everyone makes money, as simple as that. But yes, you saw what happened in the .com boom.
Yes,
There's going to be another boom. The stock market in India is completely divorced from reality. I don't know which planet these jokers are operating on, because if you look at the economy per se, And then you look at the stock market, they shouldn't be indexed together, but they are, and people are making money on the stock market.
But is that real money that is being made in the stock market? Especially
Of course,
with
it's
so
real
many.
money. You can go and buy a car, you can buy a house, so it is
Yeah,
real
yeah.
money.
It is real money in that sense, yes. But with this all this SME exchanges and other stuff that is coming up in the equity market, is this truly real valuation? Okay,
Well, it's real money. I don't know about real valuation. People are getting rich. You may not be,
people,
I may not be, but people are getting rich. They're buying cars, they're buying homes, they're going on holidays, they're buying ugly suits. So obviously, someone is benefiting.
but is this a bubble that is building up, like what we had seen in the .com era? That there's a
Yeah,
bubble
but
that is
dot
building.
com happened Molloy in 2000. Yeah, we are now in 2021.
Right.
The bubble just
Absolutely.
keeps growing. Look at what's
The
happened in
bubble.
the last 21 years with tech companies.
Hmm.
Would you be paying so much for Facebook or Google or even TCS? I don't know. But these companies continue to spew cash. They continue to get insane valuations. And these insane valuations help their promoters, spawn other businesses. So obviously, someone somewhere is benefiting, and it is creating a lot of value and a lot of real money into the system. See, whether we knock the stock market or not, the reality is that the primary markets are fueled by the belief that people have in the secondary market or in the stock market. So both are codependent on each other, or interdependent, as the word is. So everyone's happy.
Mr. Seth, is it also not a reality that a lot of youngsters who are getting into the so-called startup, and I'm using the so-called startup knowingly, so-called startup boom, they feel that the tech companies and these kind of service-oriented companies have a more bigger chance of valuation rather than the real infra companies or other stuff, and they're all moving towards that, and the bubble is only building up, and we are not creating enough. Employment for whatever, or real companies which are in the infra space, or which are in the manufacturing space.
There's this old debate, and I had my answer then, and I have my answer now. In the good old days, you say it's a new economy business, old economy business. That's all bullshit. There is only one kind of business: profitable or loss making. To say it's old economy, new economy, it's rubbish. Today, Tata Steel is making a lot of money.
Correct.
Cement companies are making a lot of money. Infrastructure companies are making a lot of money. They're making real cash. When you look at their P&L, it's real cash. Zomato, on the other hand, is showing losses.
Yes.
Oyo is showing losses. So what the hell are they saying? Tech company, no tech company. The fact is that one company is losing money and getting a high valuation. The other company is
Absolutely.
making real money and not getting the high valuation. So who's at fault? The people who create valuations, those are the idiots. Because if I'm getting
Yeah.
real shareholder value in
Huh.
terms of dividend, then I'm seeing real money in my pocket.
Hmm.
But again, thanks to religion and the informed advent of religion from time immemorial, humanity has lived on hope. So everyone is looking for future earnings. God knows when those future earnings will happen, but everyone's happy waiting for them.
No, that is my, as somebody who has been in the professional domain for 25 years and then running my own consulting company. That is my big worry with the startups, that they don't want to get into the Tata Steel and the Maruti kind of companies. They all want to start up tech companies because they want to exit in 5 years with a valuation game, even though the business is a loss making.
Which, by the way, is fair. Fair. I read one book a day, but I can't force you to read one book a day. Today, people say, I don't want to read. Their choice. See, you have to worry about two things. Number one, are these companies corrupt, dishonest, a national security risk, and or cheating the general public? The answer is no. If willingly people are agreeing to invest in these companies, then more part of these companies.
Mr. Sid, I am aware that you have some very strong views about business coaching and coaches as a whole. But why is it that in the Western world, in the more developed economies, business coaching has a distinct role to play. And in India and the developing countries, the business coaching as is not still seen by the SME or the MSME as a need of the hour.
Because Indians, by and large, think they know everything about everything, which is why we're screwed. You see, the problem with an average Indian is if you ask an Indian, do you know this? He'll say, yes, yes, of course. You dig deeper, he'll say, oh, I didn't know you were asking me about this. I thought you were asking about that. That's the problem. It's ego, it's insecurity. And that's what actually happens. And now I'm getting the signal that we have to end.
Okay, so one just last quick question, 60 seconds I'll take of yours. If you were to give advice to two groups of people, SMEs who you think don't know all kind of thing and they need coaching. The second is business coaches like us. What would be your advice to both of them, that how can this community work together?
The only way these communities can work together is if there are three things that are happening: a mutual need, a mutual respect, and a mutual profitability. And by profitability, I don't mean cash. I mean profitability in terms of benefits. If one is a mismatch, it won't work.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. I
Thank
understand you have a hard stop at 5 o'clock, but someday we want to expand on this
Yes,
discussion
sure.
further.
Would be delighted
And
to.
thank you so much, Mr. Seth, for staying up. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi. That was a very candid, very, very interesting session. I'm sure everybody in the audience will agree some hard truths were